Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Simply Rhoda, and I want to thank you for joining my live tonight. In this live, I'm going to be talking about the realities of living in diaspora or as an expat in another country other than your country. So, if you are living in another country, I bet you are going to relate to the things that I'm going to be talking about that I feel. Um, Sorry, guys. I need to set up something is not right. So, yeah. Again, I want to say welcome to my live tonight. And I am live. I'm in China. And thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you are here for the first time, thank you so much for joining my live. And whilst you are here, go ahead. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also press the um, post notifications bell so that each time I start a new live or I post a video that I'm doing quite often these days, you will be the first to be notified and you won't miss any of the videos that I will be posting on my channel. Now you can see the title today is The Realities of Living in Diaspora. Now, why I say that, you may be wondering what is diaspora. Of course, that means if you are living in a country other than your home country, your mother country, or the country where you were born, where your parents are from, or the country that you are a national of is your country. If you are living in a country other than that, the one that I've mentioned, um, then it means you are living in diaspora. So, okay, now without further ado, let's just jump into these realities. I'm sure you have some that you know. So, please, I am opening the comment section. You can type. If you are just joining our live, please, you can also like the live, recommend it if you have other platforms that you can share the live with others. But above all, I just want to say thank you for joining me tonight. Okay, now let's start with these realities. There are, I know for somebody who has never been or who has never lived in another country for or a longer period or lived in another country for some time, may not understand these things, but they do have some misconceptions about life in diaspora or living abroad. Actually, people have a lot of misconceptions that I'm going to be addressing in this channel, so you can find yourself whether what you were thinking about life in diaspora and the realities of life in diaspora really correspond, or you were wrong all this time. So let's start with the first one. One thing that you must know when people are living in diaspora, everything they do, it's, I can say, the reality that is there is a countdown. So everything that we do is more like we are on a clock. You know why? This is because our stay, or the reason why we stay in other countries, is we stay on a visa, and these visas are for a specific reason or for a specific purpose. And you find that most visas will have an expiry date. So it means every day counts. It's a clock tickling towards the end of that stay. Some countries can give longer stays, like 2 or 3 years at the beginning, and some countries can give as less as 6 months or a year and so forth. So it all depends with a country. But where I am, usually the visas are for a year, that they call the resident permit. So you find every day will be counting. So if you are working here, you know that after a year, my visa is going to expire, or I may have, in some instances you may have the opportunity to renew, but some people may not have the opportunity to renew. So living in diaspora, sometimes in that scenario, you don't relax that much, knowing that after this visa expire, I may need to renew. If it's easier process, then it's fine, your mind can be settled. But in some cases, it will be even hard to renew the visa. Some visas are unrenewable. That means after you finish your papers, in that country, you have to live. So every day you are in that country, your mind will be around the expiry date of your visa. You have to be constant aware, because the moment the visa expires, it means you are no longer welcome to continue to stay. You must leave. If you continue to stay with an expired visa, it means you become an a legal expert, which will make it even harder for you to leave the country without being arrested, or you may have to be banned from the country for a number of years, which you won't like, because it means it won't you won't have it easy to go to other countries once you have this bad record of overstaying in a country. So yes, living abroad or in diaspora is like we are running on a clock. Yeah, everything we do is circling around the clock because of the visa. Okay, the next point that I would like to elaborate, that you must understand, that living in diaspora is not as easy as most people think. Maybe for some, maybe there are some who are finding it quite easy and quite interesting, but a lot of people will not feel very much comfortable. So expat life isn't a vacation. One thing you must know, I know for some of people, they travel to other countries on vacation. So you can imagine, when you are in a place for vacation, it means every day is you have new adventures on daily basis. Every day is a good day for you. Every day you'll be doing amazing things. Whereas when you are living in diaspora, this is different. This is really different. It won't be as it is when you are staying here for a longer period, or on a visa that allows you to stay for a certain period. That means you are here for a reason, either to work or make money. So you're pretty much determined about your time and make use of your time. But if you are it's when you are living here and working in diaspora, it's not like vacation. Every day is different. Every day will be different. And like I say, you have a lot on your mind. You have goals to meet, you have deadlines to meet, you have to worry. So you find that when most people are away, this is most people for this, and throw away their goals for the comfort and the country they will be providing. In reality, being in diaspora means working around the clock and investing back home. That's the truth. So like I say, you have goals to meet, you have deadlines to meet. Your mind is always thinking about making money, making the most of the time, what you can do to earn more money, because you know you're working on a clock, right? Then the next one, that guys, I would like to let you know that this live stream is not going to be longer today. I decided to go live a bit early because my son is in the after school, that is an academy where he goes after he finishes school. So today he's there, and he will be done in 30 or 40 minutes time. So I must go and pick him up. So what I mean by this is we will be live for maybe 20 or so minutes today. So that means this live is not going um it's not going to last longer. Because of that reason, I need to go and pick Tyler from the academy. So okay, let's go ahead now with the next point, why I say the realities of living in China, that most of the people outside, or most of the people back home, may not be aware. They have their misconceptions about this reality. So that is what I'm actually addressing in this live today, so that you can be aware that living in abroad is not as easy as you might be thinking, or you have been thinking, or have been perceiving. So you can't travel anywhere or everywhere all the time. This is, I had to put the points down because I'm afraid I may miss some of the important points here. So I had to make a list of the things so that I can elaborate as much as I can, since we are running on a very short time. So my third point is, you can't travel everywhere. I remember I've been living here for more than 2 years now. Sorry. What am I saying? I have been living in China for over 10 years, right? For over 10 years. And of these 10 years, there are so many places that are in China that I get to see online, or people ask me about these places. They're beautiful places that I've never been to, and I don't know when I can be have the chance to travel there. Why? Because I'm not here on vacation. So I don't have time to travel to see places around. The little time I get, sometimes I have to use that little time for rest or for other important things. So traveling for me is not luxury. I'm here for work and family, not traveling, but I'm not saying I don't like to travel. I like to travel, but the time I have is so packed that I don't have enough time that I have left for traveling around. So yes. Another thing, now let's go to the fourth point. No matter how long you stay in a place other than your country, you won't feel like a local. That's the harsh truth. You will never feel like a local. Like this, I've always, and I think in my past lives, if you've watched them, I've elaborated this point that you are always reminded that you don't belong. Hence, you will never feel like a local. You are reminded, you are constantly reminded that you don't belong here. And that alone also makes you feel that you don't belong. You won't feel like a local, or you are always a foreigner. You are always pointed at. You always look different. I think when you're a local, there are things that you relax a lot and you can do with much ease. But as a foreigner, or as an expert in a country, living in another country, you can't really find yourself behaving or feeling that way. Hence, you always outstand. If you go out, you are always outstanding because you are different. So hence, you won't feel like a local, and the locals will make you feel like you don't belong sometimes. Although they may welcome you with all their hands, they or welcome you with open hands, but the actual effect is you will never feel like a local. That's the honest truth. You will never feel like a local. You can just feel comfortable, but never blend to become a local. Okay. And another point is you won't feel like a tourist either. Like I said, you will not feel like a tourist either. Why? Because you are here on a mandate. You are here for your job. You're working, and you don't have time to go and see places. So you never feel like a tourist. So I don't really know where to put ourselves when we are living here. I don't know where we put. I think we are in the middle, maybe, because you don't feel like a local, you also don't feel like a tourist. You are in between. Maybe you feel like a confused person. Maybe, I'm just saying, but I'm not saying you always feel like that, but I'm saying you won't feel like a tourist, you won't feel like a local. So I don't really know where you will belong actually. So that's another thing that is a reality of living in diaspora. You are in between. You are in between. And then another point that I wanted to elaborate is now you build new routines. Yes. When you are back home, we know that we have set routines, or some routines that you have been following since you were a child. You were born in a household doing such stuff, and you have to follow suit like that. It becomes part of you, part of your norm, part of your tradition, and you have a routine that you grew up in. But when you move abroad, when you start living in another country, you find that all those things may change. Why I say that, they may change now because you are living in a different environment. You have different things to do that you are just entering into. So it takes time for you to get accustomed to these things and now start to develop new routines. Like myself now, a couple of years ago when I was still in Zimbabwe, I didn't have to go out after I come back from work. I didn't have to go out to start go and pick a child at school. I didn't have to wake up so early and do school runs and stuff. So now that I'm here, I'm a mom, I have a child. My routine has totally changed. I changed everything. My routine in Zimbabwe and my routine here in China are totally two different things. I'm living in totally two different worlds, right? By doing so. So yeah, you find that routines will definitely change when you start living abroad. in diaspora. Routine changes. Sometimes it's the circumstances around you. Sometimes it's the environment you are in. Sometimes it's the reason that made you stay in that country that will change your routine that you were well accustomed to. Now go to the next point. You feel very far away from home. This one, I don't want to lie, guys. I'm sure 99% of foreigners or experts living in diaspora, they feel this every day. And sometimes you may feel like you are going, you are becoming depressed once you start feeling this. Once you start feeling this, the urge or the night to go home, you miss everything about your family, people you grew around. Everything will just become like, I don't know, it becomes really special because you are away. Even some situation that you used to hate whilst you were in your home country, you find that when you are in diaspora, those are special moments. They will start to recall in your mind. There are events that will let you or that will make you remember such instances or such cases. So in that case, you will feel, you will miss home on daily basis. Remember, like I want to remind you or take you back during the COVID period. You find that most foreigners or most expats living in other countries were not able to travel back to their home countries because of travel bans, travel restrictions, and stuff like that. That period, a lot of people went in depression because you find when you live in diaspora, like I say, everything is just different. It's not the same as in your home country. So you find that once you are there, sometimes you are all alone. If you are fortunate enough, you may have maybe family, maybe your wife, or maybe your partner with you, or your kids with you. This is even much better when you have two or three people around you. But you find most people are all alone. They're just all alone in diaspora. So you can imagine the feeling of missing home. Although you know you are in a place for a reason, you are in a place to make money or for work, you have plans that needs to be made. Hi guys, I can see new people coming in. If you don't mind, guys, please like this live stream if you can, so this can help our life to be this can help our live stream to be recommended to other people. And thank you so much for doing so. And if it's your new time, your first time on this channel, also please don't forget to subscribe while you are here. As you can see from the topic that we are talking about, the realities of living in diaspora, and I'm sure some of them you are going to relate. And if there are some that you can relate with, the comment in the comment section, let me know some of the things or that are real, that people who has never lived in diaspora may not be aware of. They we often understand that people who have never lived abroad, they have misconceptions about how life is in diaspora. For some, they think it's easy. For some, they think it's very amazing, it's very exciting, and they always try to emulate, and they always try to feel like oh, you guys, you're having it easy, oh, life is so fun for you guys. But they don't actually understand that there are so many things that comes along, so many challenges that comes along with living in diaspora, which is living in a country other than your home country. So where were I was on point number 7. You feel very far away from home. Yes, this is another thing. The thing that makes it even worse is you are living outside of your country. You are in a country that has its own system, and you are um, supposed to adapt to that system. There are a lot of things that you find totally different from your home country. Hence, you tend to compare. And sometimes by starting to compare, it makes you feel very far from your country because, you know, you are trying to adjust to being in another country. Like I was saying, it will be even much better if you are in another country with your family or with your partner or with your kids. That would be even better. But for some people, I can relate because I was once that person. Some 8 9 years ago, before I got married, I was that person. I was all alone in a foreign country. So I could feel every day, if I think of home, I could feel like I was very far away from home. And most of the time, that will put me in situations whereby I'll feel very lonely. And sometimes a phone call will not suit it, or sometimes a chat or something. Thanks to social media and thanks to being able to call on social platforms like WhatsApp, you can see each other on WeChat and stuff like that. So in that case, I would resort to that option. But sometimes you be living in different time zones, which won't make it easier again to get in touch with people back home. So you feel like you are living very far if there is a big gap between the time differences. If there is a big gap on time differences, you feel like you're lost, you are living worlds apart. And yeah, this is something that we feel every day. Even up to now, I sometimes feel like, okay, if I think of home, if I think of my parents, it's very far. It's a trip, or it's a journey that would require me to take a flight for like 20 something hours, including stopovers and so forth. So the feeling of the distance is something that we always dread and always make us wonder, how can I get home? How often can I go home in a year? Which may be challenging again, because the distance, the longer the distance, the expensive the tickets. So you can't be home every month, which makes it really, really hard, by not being able to afford to go home whenever you feel like. Yeah, understand. So we also go to, you miss the weirdest things. This one I think you guys, you can relate. You really, really, really feel you miss the weirdest things. I know whenever we travel back home, like you get the chance to travel back home, you find there are so many things that you never enjoyed whilst you were living in your home country, that now that you are living outside of your country, when you start living outside of your country, you suddenly miss these things. You suddenly become nostalgic when you think about these things. And the first thing you want to do is, maybe when you travel back home, the first thing you want to do is get hold of these things, try as much as you can to have these things. For me, I'm going to list some things that I always think of, and each time I travel back to Zimbabwe, the first thing I'd like, or I always place an order, that before I get to Zimbabwe, I would ask my family to prepare for me maheu. These are like fermented drink that is made up of cornmeal. Like, yeah, it's fermented cornmeal drink that we add what we call chimera. That is an agent that will help you to ferment faster. Maheu, when I was still living in Zimbabwe, I never really liked to drink this, but now it has become a delicacy. It has become really, really special to me, especially these African type of foods or cuisines. They become really special because by living in China, it means I am not always able to find these things. They are not readily available for me whenever I need them, or whenever I have cravings for them. I only have to wait when I go back home, if I can stay some when I'm coming back. But you remember, when I bring things, they will not last you longer, although you can try as much as you can. Because of the limitation of kgs, when you are traveling by plane to come back or to go wherever you're living, the restrictions on cages will also make you not be able to bring as much as you would like to. So in that case, you always have these cravings for these foods from your country that you are unable to lay your hands on in the country that you are living in. So that's another thing, that when you're living in diaspora, you're gonna miss those things. It's not easy to find them, and when you once find them, it's so expensive than the actual price that you can get them back in your home country. Now let's look at the next one. You crave food from home, however, you also discover new ones. Yes, there is that. Although it is a setback that you can't easily grab the kinds of food that you're used to, or that you like, or that you miss the most, by living in diaspora, you also get accustomed to the local foods, local dishes in the country that you're living in, which is a good thing also. So you won't always feel bad. You can always replace. Sometimes you can actually find the dishes that are similar to your home country food that can help to ease those cravings. Um, yeah, you can, it can help, at least it can help, because there will be that similarity. So whenever you have that craving, you can at least ease it by eating those newfound foods that are similar to your home country. All right, now we can go on to life feels like it's happening in a bubble. Yeah, this is really true, guys. I can also refer it to that time during the COVID era, or during the COVID time, when things were really really tough. I think you can relate, guys. At that time, we could feel like we were in bubbles, really, because you couldn't do anything. You couldn't do things at your own liberty. You had to follow a set of rules, doing things according to rules and stuff like that. And then my point exactly, I'm driving my point to this part. When you are living in diaspora, in most cases, people move to diaspora when they are adults already. So that means you had a life that you are living in your country. Before you leave to diaspora, you had a life that you were living in your country. That when you moved, after you moved to diaspora, people you meet in diaspora, they are not aware of the person who you were when you were living in your country. So in that case, you are creating a new life. Now, when you are creating a new life and new routines, new style in diaspora, now the people that you grew up back in your country, they aren't aware of that life you are living in diaspora. So in that case, you are always in a bubble whereby people really do not know all about you. People you are meeting in diaspora, they don't know your past. People that are in your past, they don't know your current, because you are living in different places, which you always put you in that space that you are entirely living in a suspended time, or like you are you don't really understand what is happening. It's like you are in a bubble. So each time you go back home, people are confused. They try to understand you and you try to understand them. And when you come back, now you try to understand the people in the new place you are, and they are trying to understand you, but they can't really know you because they don't know you from your past. So this one is really, we really feel it. We really feel it, because we always try to feel like we are in a suspended time or something like that. Yeah, feel like you are living in a suspended time. And then another point that I want to drive home is being an expert is really hard. This one, I think most experts or most people living in diaspora, you can actually agree on me with me on this one. Life here, life abroad is not as easy as most people perceive. Life abroad is really hard. It is really hard because there are so many challenges you have to meet. Every day, on everyday basis, I can actually say on every day, each day has its own challenges. And being in a foreigner in a diaspora is not always easy to tackle these challenges or meet these challenges. So you find that life becomes really hard in that. So there are a lot of things here. For example, visas, like I said, your stay, which is a point that I really discussed. That was my first point, talking about visas, right? So like I said, visas are a headache to most people living in diaspora, because each country has its own visa policies and how they are run and how you can go about them. Each country has a different. So do not listen to what somebody living in the UK may say about the visa system, or the person living in China, what they may say about the visa system. These systems are different. Each country run its own system about the visas. They have their own visa system and how they come about. You find there's so many restrictions that goes about this. Some countries visas are renewable, some country visas are not renewable, some countries visas are restricts you from doing certain things, and some countries may allow you to do such things that are you are restricted by other countries. So in that case, visas are a challenge. And I have noticed that every country has its own problems, its challenges pertaining that. So visas, as an expert in another country, there are challenges of visas. There are challenges of picking up, like when you're moving and getting settled, right? And also remember, when you are living in diaspora, in most cases, you won't have a property at the beginning of your stay unless you have stayed there for quite a number of years. Then you become a resident. You have the opportunity to buy a property where you can call your own with your title deeds. I know some countries it's possible, and there are also some countries that is not possible as an expert to acquire land or to acquire a property in a foreign land. It can be really challenging unless you are involved with a person from that country. Yes, thank you so much for joining my live, Kilibi. Visas are very complicated if you are black and from Africa. Our passports are so weak. That's right. That's right. I think I've addressed that case in another live that I did before. Yes, being from Africa has its own disadvantages in some countries. I can say there are advantages, but I feel like the disadvantages are way, way more than the advantages that we have as Africans. Our passports are weak. Yes, you're right. They are really weak. So, like I was saying, visas and moving and places to stay, it's a challenge on its own. Honestly, it's a challenge on its own. Now, if you want to look at um places to stay when you are living in your home country, you find that it can be easier, that you can actually stay with a cousin, you can stay with your uncles or relatives, right? They can take you in and live with them, right? Irregardless of how life is going with you, whether you have money or not, you can have a roof on your head. Because in our cultures, you find that out there, we have relatives, that's where we come from, so we can always look after each other, we can always take each other in when we have challenges. But when we are living abroad in diaspora, honestly, you must have a roof over your head. That means you need to tackle the rental fees. You need to be thinking about where you are going to stay, which is a major, major problem for most. Like if you don't have a job, you can't afford to rent an apartment, but you still need somewhere to stay. So this is a reality. It's not like back home. If I don't have money, I can get help from friends or whoever to live with. But in diaspora, like I say, in most cases, you will be alone. You will be alone. So being alone, no one is coming for you. No one can help you. And at the same time, people back home will be assuming that life is good for you. Life is okay for you. They won't understand the fact that everything you do needs money. It needs money. For you to have a roof over your head is money. For you to find that house, you need to pay an agent to find a house for you. So you find living abroad, everything that you need to do, you need money, unlike back home. But back home, people will not understand this, that every little penny you get is very important. It is very important. Okay. Now let's look at another one, dealing with daily life challenges like languages. If you are living in an English speaking country, then that is easier on that. But for some people like myself, I live in China, and in China, they speak Chinese. So dealing with life challenges, everyday life challenges, can be so hard, especially if I have some emergencies to deal with. For example, I need to go to hospital. I need to, maybe I have an accident at home. I need someone to come fix my life. I need someone to fix my faucets and stuff. My tap is leaking or something like that. Help is there, but help doesn't speak English. This is a challenge that you may have as an expert living in another country. Language barriers. You may have this. Of course, there's help, but help doesn't understand you. It is a challenge. Now you have to be working around the translators, and some may not even understand you at all. It is a challenge that requires a lot of patience. So that's why you find that when people start living in diaspora or live in other countries, I feel like you also have to improve. Your patience will also improve because of these daily problems that we meet on daily basis. You see. So yes, language, especially in a non-English speaking country, the language barriers is real. It is real, guys. You can actually feel it, that wow, 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 I'm in a lost place. But when everything is going well, you may not know about this. Once you have a problem, you realize that. Okay, I want to give you an example of my problem, my challenge I had when I first came here. There are some brands that are, I think, worldwide brands that you may see in every store, every shop, and stuff like that. But you may not be able to differentiate whether it is, for example, for me, I remember when I first come here, I wanted to go in the supermarket to grab some washing products. I wanted to get bathing products, the shampoos, the shower gels, and the creams. I didn't bring those from back home because my first trip, I didn't actually understand that when you see people coming back from Africa or coming from their home countries, they're always pulling these large bags and stuff like that. I didn't understand why they do that. It's only later I got to learn that when people are coming, they always stock up on their necessities, things they are used to, things they use on daily basis. Because in a foreign country, you may find these things, but they may not work on your skin type or skin tone. They may not work well with you. So you may as well bring your own from your country. So for me, I went in a supermarket to buy some things for bathing, shower, and some gels, some lotions, and stuff like that. But to my surprise, when I step in the supermarket, none was in English. I could see that, well, I understand this brand. I understand this brand, but I can't differentiate whether it's a shampoo, whether it's a conditioner, or whether it was a body cream. I couldn't differentiate. So it was all about try and error until a certain, I end up stocking things that I didn't need because I couldn't understand, I couldn't read, I couldn't tell the difference between the products. So which is another challenge that we get when we move to diaspora, or when you're living in a diaspora, a country that is other than yours, also a country that is a non-English speaking. Honestly, living in China has taught me quite a lot of things. It had taught me to become really patient, and really, really patient. Actually, I think I learned to be patient moving the time I moved here in China, because the challenges are too much. You also learn to be patient with people around you and circumstances around you. People are gonna point at you every day. Like I say, you will feel you don't belong. It is a reality of living in diaspora. You always feel you don't belong. You may have temporary feeling comfortable, but the actual truth is you will not feel at home. You will not feel like this is it. I'm here. I belong here. You'll never be, because the locals will remind you that you're a foreigner, right? If you, especially you are a person of color and you are living in a country where everybody is, another race, of course, it's a notable thing. You stand out when you're in a crowd. You are also reminded that, oh, I'm not from here. I don't belong here. So each time you step out, you are reminded that you are not from that place. So you don't belong. All right. And let's look at another one that always make me feel really, really sad. This one is celebrating holidays. Like I live in Asia, I live in China, so there's so many holidays that we celebrate back in Zimbabwe that are not the same as the ones we celebrate in China. So you find that on Christmas Day, some days on Christmas Day, I can be at work, whereas in Zimbabwe it's a holiday. It's a holiday. I know everybody's having fun. They're having family gatherings. They're just chilling out there. But in diaspora, you find that you may be working. You won't have the luxury to stay at home. You may be working because that day is not recognized. Like Christmas is not, it's not a holiday in China. It is not a holiday in China, but it is recognized as maybe a day that brands or supermarkets or whatever, they can actually make more sales out of it, because they can use it for it's a commercial holiday. I can say they recognize it as a commercial holiday. They use it to sell stuff, put the things on sale, and people can buy, but it's not on their calendar. It's not a recognized holiday. So celebrating holidays abroad is not as fun as you would when you are celebrating them in your home country, because your people, your family, people around you, everyone in your country recognize this holiday. But when you are in diaspora, you'll be alone. You will be alone. So it doesn't make sense at all. So in that case, we feel very lonely. um you feel very lonely. We feel very, very lonely. I want to say around Christmas, every time around Christmas, around Independence, that is the Zimbabwean Independence Day, some of the holidays I'm actually forgetting them. Why? Because I've stayed in diaspora for a long time. I've stayed in China for a long time. So you find that these holidays, the Zimbabwean holidays, some of them I'm actually forgetting them, because here in China, it's normal work days. So When people are having fun back home in Zimbabwe or resting back home in Zimbabwe, I am at work. So I'm no longer in sync with these holidays. Yes. Oh, you say holidays are wild. Lived in Malaysia for some years. They have no Easter, Christmas, and other. True. Same with China. It's the same. They don't have any Christian holidays here. So you find that when you are trying to say, okay, back home, we say during the Christmas holidays, we can't even go to work, right? We don't have to go to work. We have to stay home. We have to be with family, go to church and stuff like that. But here, there's nothing like that. So it's kind of like, where am I? Where am I? Where did I find myself? I'm lost or something. So in that case, spending these holidays alone is something that doesn't go on so well with us living here in diaspora. This is actually a reality. Back home, when you tell somebody that I'm working, it's not a holiday here. All they think is, oh, you're making money. It's okay. You're making money. You're making money. Money isn't it all. We also want to have that time with family. We also want to have that time to celebrate the holidays we grew up celebrating. We want that. But living in diaspora, it means missing out on such important events, missing out on such family events, family gatherings and stuff. We miss those things. We really miss those things. So in that case, I feel it's a challenge. It makes it really hard staying here. It makes it really hard. Okay. But anyway, there is a silver lining on all this. Despite all these challenges, it's also freaking amazing sometimes. I feel like there are some things I always want to thank God, and I want to be grateful for the opportunity of living abroad. Sometimes it gives and open new opportunities and also open our eyes to see things that would never have known if we had continuously stayed in our home countries. I think traveling abroad, living abroad gives you new experiences. Like I just said just now, that I have learned to be patient since I moved to China, which is something that I never had when I was back home. So I think living abroad will actually open your eyes, will actually give you new perspective, will actually put you in a space that you appreciate. I want to say I have a video that is going to come out tomorrow, and this video is really special to me. Why I'm saying this, I would like you guys to subscribe to my channel. Check out tomorrow the video is already uploaded. It's in the channel, and it will be going live at 8 p.m. China time. That is almost like an hour from now. And this video is dear to me because this is a video that I'm sharing a secret that I have been hiding for so long, but I had gathered up the pieces and the puzzles. Now everything has come together, and I'm sharing this secret that I've been keeping for so long. And like I said, living abroad is hard, but there is also a silver lining on it. It's also freaking amazing. There are so many things that we get to learn, so many things that we embrace, so many things that we get to do because we had this opportunity, or we had this opportunity to live abroad and start a life abroad and work and earn money abroad that we wouldn't have if we were back in our home countries. We may not have been able to find ourselves in the situations we are. So I want to thank you guys for joining my life tonight. I'm gonna end this live stream now because like I said at the beginning of this live, I mentioned that my son is in an after school. He is having classes there, and it's almost time for him to finish his classes, and it's also time for me to go pick him up. It's not far; it's very close to my home, and I just wanted to have a quick chat with you for 30 minutes. I think it's 43 minutes already. I wasn't even thinking that I'll stretch it up to this time. I wanted to just have a sit down with you for 30 minutes, but here we are, 43 minutes, and we are still here. Thank you so much for joining my life tonight. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead, subscribe to the channel. I'm so excited and I appreciate you for coming tonight. You can also recommend my channel to other people that you feel can benefit from the conversation that we have on this channel. Again, I'll see you in another video. It's goodbye for now. Goodbye.